Sometimes life can throw curveballs at us, and that can really challenge us to make some really important changes. It is vital that we understand that we have to be resilient at times sometimes, and that could be quite often extremely difficult for a lot of people. But when life throws curveballs at us, this is when resilience takes its toll. In you, you have to be able to create that. You have to be able to look inside of yourself and say, I can overcome certain situations that are really oppressing my environment. I have to recreate. I have to be optimistic. I have to do everything possible to show the people around me that I can make things happen. Today's show is going to be very special. We got Willie. Willie is going to talk to us a little bit about
Thank you.
his life, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about mental health. And he's also going to talk to us about his journey being a single father. I want to welcome him because I think this is a very special podcast because it hits home for a lot of people. And I think a lot of people need to hear his message. So without further ado, Willie.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it so much. I never thought I'd have the opportunity to have a platform to speak about some embarrassing topics, but things that I was not proud of in the beginning. But now that I've overcome some challenges through that adversity, I feel confident that I can share this message and help somebody because I know I've helped people before. I've talked to a lot of friends, and everybody that's in my circle knows the story for the most part. And they know how I move and move with purpose. And now leading up into years later, I want to say about 4 or 5 years later, now having all the things that I've had to show for all the hard work and perseverance and learning how to love myself.
Who's Willie? Who is Willie?
Oh my gosh. Well, father too. That's number one. Before I could probably give you a laundry list of things of who I was before the divorce, but after becoming a single father, a lot of the focus is always driven towards the kids, which it's no problem. I think that's part of the responsibility we have to take when we're asked upon us to take on that responsibility, you have to rise. And a lot of that is taking a back seat, learning how selfish you really are when you're pushed to put your kids, when you're outnumbered 2 versus 1, a beautiful daughter, an amazing son. Well, my daughter's now 10. She'll be 11 October 18th. My son's 6. He'll be 7 October 19th.
You got your hands full.
Oh, yeah. But, the thing is, a lot of it is preparing them age appropriately for this. So the whole way, there's always been some dialogue.
When you say age appropriate, how do you navigate through that?
That's probably the toughest part. I think age appropriate, understanding what your kid is and knowing who your kid is. Obviously, you're the parent. You're with them 24/7. And in my case, I was the only parent. So I got to see them. I got to reflect. I got to know what they were able to handle. I got to see a lot of the negative with my daughter. She was 6 when my ex-wife left us, and my son was 2. So my son never really got to see a lot of it. Well, my daughter, she suffered a lot. She cried every night.
So was it something that you guys saw that was coming?
Yeah. It was actually blindsided, I'll be honest. I found out on Father's Day. I went to work before, like any other Father's Day. Usually we were together 7 years. It was always a big thing. She made it very special. And this year she didn't, that time. And she didn't want to tell me Happy Father's Day. And I was like, whoa, that's a red flag. Well, I got to go to work. I'll be back. And then we'll talk about this and then go to the family party. And she ended up, when I came back, I asked her and confronted her, and she broke it to me that she did not want to continue this any longer. On Father's Day, I don't know why. There's a lot of things going on in her mind that I will never know. And that's not my responsibility to know. And it caused headaches to figure that out.
At the time, how'd you process?
A lot of darkness, a lot of self-hate, listening to someone you love break your heart, and then you still love them. So their words still hold value. Everything they say, even though they broke your heart, everything they say still hurts. And you're obviously in a toxic environment to lead up into that. because, that's what led up to it, obviously, toxicity. And you're not aware of it until you step away.
Yeah.
And we were in it for a long time. And, it was years of development of just toxic environment. We weren't working out, but we forced it for the kids.
What were some of the things that you noticed that were toxic but hesitated to take action at the time?
Lack of communication. A lot of it is lack of communication is the root of a lot of problems. Creating a dialogue. I think now more than ever, we are more introvert. And we shy away from our feelings. But on the flip, we have men's mental health on the rise.
We do.
So it's almost this constant evolution, and it's through dialogue that starts. It's through these podcasts that starts. We have to create that. So the key that we missed the mark was we weren't creating dialogue. We knew it. We assumed, but the whole thing about assume, you spell assume.
Yeah.
You and me. So,
yeah.
And that's what was happening. And we all know it, but we all do it. And it's a reflection of, I'm not happy. I don't even love myself. And
at the time, did you realize that you were struggling with accepting yourself in the relationship?
Well, at the time, I just thought it was all my fault. I thought it was all me. She didn't tell me she was seeing somebody else. She didn't tell me she was cheating on me for a considerable long amount of time, I guess. I didn't know. I was very oblivious. I was blind by love. I worked hard. I buried myself in work. I was a provider. That's what I did. And so I was kind of blindsided in that regard. But at the same time, we knew it was toxic. We knew we weren't being intimate.
You were saying that communication played a big role here, that there wasn't a lot of communication.
Yes.
What other things did you see that were lacking also?
Well, I think I started seeing a lot of self-hate on both sides. And when that happens, the kids are very observant. And then that's really what drives into the toxic environment. When the mom and dad are suffering, you're suffering so much in that situation, you forget to look at the kid because we're all human. And the kid's living their own life too. But they're not thinking about relationships and that kind of age thing. They're thinking about, why is mommy and daddy crying when they're alone from each other?
And you're completely right. Sometimes we think that they don't capture any of those emotions, but they're extremely good about seeing every little thing that's going wrong with fathers and mothers' emotions.
100%.
They'll call you out on it for sure. Did you see that a lot in them?
Yeah, I think it's because we forget as parents how we were and what we saw. We did the same thing. And then our kids are our blood. It's in their DNA. They're going to have those traits, the good and the bad. How they're awakened, that's dependent on the environment. So that's my responsibility to make sure only the good awakens and the bad stays away. But it's there. It's inevitable. But we have to create that environment. And then at the time, the environment was very toxic. There was no dialogue. There was neglect on her part.
How so?
The kids. Shoveling herself away in the garage, smoking cigarettes while my son was watching Shrek over and over again to the high chair. I would come home from work and he was covered in spaghetti, still dried up. You would have little marks, like tan lines of spaghetti sauce with the belts. And I would confront her, and that would argument. Hey,
that would
he's
cause
knocked out. Heck yeah.
She was resentful because of that.
I had to trust a lot. So I saw the negative in what are you doing? But I should have also asked, well, are you okay? That was my fault as a partner. I outlashed because obviously my son, hey, what the heck? That happened on more occasions than I'd like to admit. I enabled that. So I'm already upset and now I'm targeting, but I'm not thinking, why? Well, I'm part of that why. But at that time, I didn't want to take ownership. I didn't know I had the ownership.
Yeah.
It was so abrupt and just the anger fills you. But it was my fault too.
Yeah,
100%.
that taking
And it
ownership.
hurt. Oh my gosh. All I could think about was that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I am who I am. That's why I created all the things I created. That's why I helped the community. That's why it's because I had to.
Mm-hmm.
Because that burden is heavy. I did not love myself. And my kids felt that at that time. And so did the mom, you know. So it's terrible.
So you come home one day and she wants to call it quits, and you find yourself in this situation. What next comes for Willie after that?
I had to go to work. The grind was real. I was on my path to becoming, I wanted more. I wasn't getting paid enough. When I started working sushi, I was entry level, no experience. I started off minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
I had no knives. They gave me half a shift a week. I didn't even have a name on the schedule. And then when they put my name on the schedule, they named me wrong. They put Gil because they couldn't pronounce Guillermo because of the Koreans. It's hard to pronounce. I get it. But you know what? At that point, as a father, I was like, oh, I'm Gil.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how Chef Gil came. I was like, you know what? I'm proud of that name. I earned that name. So that grind was real. And I was like, man, I had already achieved so much learning this skill set. And I wasn't passionate about it at that time. But
it was just a job.
But I had to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to pay these bills. We had the rent. We had things that we invested in together, but she had no game plan for that. Her game plan was to eject.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was, what do I have left?
Hold the fort.
Oh, I guess. But then now I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the family comes in. That's where my parents come in. If it's not for them, if it's not for every single mother in my family or single parent paving the way that I didn't even know. I never thought I'd have the kids. What father gets the kids, you know, in this situation?
So that's quite the
crazy.
readjustment, Willie.
Oh,
all of a sudden you
100%.
find yourself taking care of these two little angels. And now you have to rearrange a schedule and come up with a schedule that works for everybody.
Yeah.
How difficult was that for you?
It wasn't difficult because my family is the best family on earth. I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't be doing all the things I am today if it wasn't for my dad, my mom, my sister, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's my immediate family. Oh, and then the list goes on,
Mm-hmm.
you know, on both sides. So I had the examples. God gave me all the examples. For the longest, when I was together, we were not with faith. We weren't. We didn't believe in faith. We didn't get married. We got married by the church, but we didn't do the church part. And we both agreed on that. Well, no. One of my biggest regrets.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that I look at it, I had been blessed this whole darn time, but I didn't see it as blessings. I saw it as like, man, I am so lucky. But that's not really what it is. It's so much more deeper than that. And once I started realizing that and reconnecting my faith, I started not suffering as much. And meanwhile, I'm watching her suffer from afar and put herself in some crazy adverse situations that I am just thankful my kids were with me. And that's why God made it the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
Once you make these connections, it starts to get a little bit easier on these tough decisions. I'm a single dad now. So, well, do I love my kids? Well, heck yeah. Has my family taught me how to do this? Yeah. Then what's stopping me? My heart. Well, you know what? It's time to love me. So I go through this. I go through the divorce. And my best skate friend, Chase, commits suicide. When I was in the darkest moment of my life. And I wanted to commit suicide. I saw my friend from a distance do it. And I saw the same friends that we have mourn as if it would have been if it was me.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that at that moment. And I started seeing his name on Facebook. You know how social media, I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know what's going on. I didn't even know he was sad. I didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, why can't I see his page? Part of the toxicity and the things we endure is part of who we are. And part of why I got so motivated. I investigated. I searched his name. I was like, why isn't my friend popping up? Well, I'm not one to block people. I checked my block list, and I had 20 people I did not even know on my block list.
Mm-hmm.
My ex had gone through my block list and blocked any potential person that could jeopardize the cheating. Well, my best friend was one of the most amazing, friendliest people, and he knew everyone, big in the surf community, big in the skate community. Amazing human being. Amazing. And of course he knew him from my hometown. Of course he did. She blocked him. And all I could think about is in any moment that he had trying to reach out to his friend, and I blocked him. I could not forgive her for those things. And now I had this face like, I have to live. I have to get back into skating. I have to do something for the skate community. I have to help inspire great communities like Skate for Kids. Because I guarantee if my friend Chase was part of something like that, maybe he'd be in my restaurant. My skate theme restaurant. You know, everything is connected to it. Volcom. That's his brand. Volcom Volcano. And one of my roles, you know, you have to remember where we come from in order to love ourselves. Because we gave out love our whole lives. We know how. We just need to turn it in.
Yep.
And once that happens, look at all my blessings. Oh my gosh. Look at where I'm at right now. I have the opportunity to help people. And that is the best thing God can give anyone, in my opinion.
So these projects that you have right now and all these people that you're helping right now, how has it helped you with organizing your new journey as a single father and as an entrepreneur?
I think it's something that I have to realize that now, being the only parent and being the present parent, that all eyes are always going to be on me. 4 eyes are going to be on me constantly. Every movement, every shadow, everything. So my legacy now is everything. For a short period of time, they saw Dad in his weakest moment. They saw me dark. They saw me shelled away, depressed. They didn't understand it. It wasn't age appropriate. But those are part of the motivators that I have to change.
I see that you're very aware of what's going on with your children and them seeing you and them reading your emotions. Did you take any type of, say, game plan so that they don't see Dad suffer as much?
No. At the time, a lot of it is raw. There's no book. There's no explanation on a particular one person's experience. That's impossible. A lot of things led me to being the man I am. And same for my ex-wife and the baby mama and everyone and across the table. So for me, it was raw emotion. For me to get better, I had to realize that awareness, that's not healthy. I had to create cringy moments in order to quit things. I used to drink alcohol. I quit alcohol after the divorce. I created the cringy thought in my head that if I get caught DUI or I get in trouble in a bar fight or I get shot, now my kids have no one. So guess what? I quit alcohol on a drop. I haven't touched it since. The next one was cigarettes. I quit that 2 years ago. It'll be coming up 2 years this coming November. It was just these toxic things that you start building on and you start doing, and then it ultimately leads into empowerment.
Absolutely.
So now when I look at my kids, I'm very aware of them because they got to see Dad overcome. And if you can prove it, then everything else before obviously is a memory, but they are proud of where they are now. And I have to create that environment. If not, then they're going to have that hole.
What would you say your main ethos is for life now that you find yourself in this situation where it kind of, to me, I'm so happy to listen to this story because it looks like you're in a really good place right now.
100%.
And that you are selfless. You are pretty much looking at the whole environment to see what it is that you can create to make it better, because I know that you are a person that knows that once you start doing all these things just start holistically getting better.
Manifestation is real. But that doesn't start until you love yourself. It's the trick.
Can you talk a little bit about loving yourself and the importance of loving yourself?
I think it can be misunderstood with selfishness. So you have to have a good understanding of the two, I think. Knowing when you're selfish and knowing when to be selfless and toting that fine line, because it's hard. Because you can sit here and say, well, I need to do this for me. I need to, increase all my menu prices just like every other restaurant, because I need to make more. I need to squeeze more dollar. But you know what? We're doing good by being affordable sushi. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like one of those aspects as far as like.
So I want to delve into that a little bit, and only Willie, because when you find yourself in a situation where there's a fire around you,
yeah,
and then you have to recreate your environment to start making things work.
Yep.
The stress levels, the emotional stress that comes with all that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you wake up, you're sweating, and you're like, you didn't even get any sleep. You're like, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to create the financial assets to cover everything that's taking place right now? I don't know where it's coming from. Yes. So you mentioned that faith is a big thing.
100%.
And you also mentioned that you grew a passion with this restaurant.
Yes.
And this is where I want to merge into that. How does that dream become a reality?
Well, when you get through when you're going through an adverse situation, sometimes you bury yourself in things. And at the time, the ownership group knew what I was going through with the company I was working for. And their solution was to work me so much I didn't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. At the time, I thought it was a good idea. But thinking back, it was not a good idea because my kids were suffering at the most freshest point. And now dad's got to work more hours.
So now you got to balance things out. And this is where the family comes in.
Yes, exactly. So I had to sacrifice some personal goals. I had already achieved a management level at Sonny's. So I think pushing myself through these situations was key, but I don't know, man. I just it's one of those things like you're kind of at that point. I think I was in a fog the whole time. Mm-hmm. Surreal. Everything was just happening. I buried myself, and I ended up falling in love with my plating and the customers, the satisfaction, the dopamine that went with that. Because I was not getting that elsewhere, you know. Mm-hmm. So they're telling me I'm great when when I leave, I feel like I'm not great. And that lasted for a good bit of while. And once I became a manager, after I think 12 or 11 months of working as a sushi chef, I became head chef at Horizon location. And I knew that, hey, I'm good at this, and it's providing right now. But my kids are suffering. So I had reached the top. I fell in love with it. And then I had to deal with my daughter crying every day for her mom. Why did she leave? Every night crying. Mm-hmm. That sticks with the person. I quit Sonny's. I reached the top. I quit the company. I was like, you know what? I can't do this. They had me on call. I was like, you know what? My daughter is crying every night for months, and you guys had me working a lot. I was like, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. I love it. And it's done a lot for me in this trying time. But you know what? My kids, I love them more. And I need to step up because I was doing the same toxic things, working so much that got me into that divorce. I didn't change. I was like, well, daddy's going to go back to work. Now mommy's not here. It's like, what the heck am I doing? I got so mad at myself. But I had this passion. Mm-hmm. So I'm an at-home dad. We're big Cowboys fans. They make birria or barbacoa, menudo every Sunday. It's always an ordeal. Well, guess what? I still had a passion for sushi. Mm-hmm. Well, I've made birria sushi before. Mm-hmm. I've made barbacoa sushi. I made menudo sushi before. I just started making sushi every Sunday for my family.
So for the people that are listening to the podcast right now, what's the name of the establishment?
Oh, the Sushi Plug. The sushi
Nice.
plug. Yeah. No, yeah, we can plug that.
And I wanted to say that. I wanted
don't-
you to say that
It
because
is.
you know,
I'm blessed,
when
man.
you talk to somebody who's telling you how things came to be, that's just amazing. I know when Jess and I opened up the shop, that was an adventure within itself. I can tell you that it wasn't easy.
No.
But again, circumstances in life are what light a fire within you that say you can do this.
Yes.
So, believe it or not, I think we're coming right now at across the 30-minute mark.
Okay.
What kind of advice do you give individuals who want to pursue a dream? First question. Second question. What kind of advice do you give single fathers that don't have possession of their children? What kind of fathers should they be? And
Oh, wow.
how important is it for them to cultivate a good, healthy relationship with their partner, even if they're not with them?
Oh, super important. Oh, man, I would love to talk on the second one. What was the first one again, man? The second one hit home.
Making your dreams come true.
Oh, the dreams, man. Oh, that's big. I think the second one is big too. But dreams, everybody has dreams. Everybody speaks about them. They tell their friends. They make baby steps towards it. But ultimately, in order to achieve your dream, the effort is unmatched, and nobody knows what that effort is until you are enduring it. So everyone can dream all they want and achieve the dream or want this dream, but they don't know the effort that goes into it. The painstaking effort to do a skate shop or restaurant, anything, you are putting your name on the line. Not everybody's willing to do that. Everybody dreams every night. They go to sleep and they dream. But not everybody wakes up manifesting it. So you speak it into existence. And that's the only way. Because if you care about your word, and at the end of the day, that's all we're left with, and you speak it into existence, well, you have to live by that. I've told people I wanted a skateboarding themed sushi restaurant when I was an amateur chef.
Mm-hmm.
The chef working for me right now, Vince, worked with me back then. He knew about it, and now he's working with me, for me.
So awesome.
He's seen it. And he's making me top rated in El Paso. He's making me look so good. And I love it because that's how. But you have to look outward sometimes for that dream. You have to look, but there's people who have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Look outwards, but obviously within. And then as far as the second question,
Advice for single fathers.
Advice for single fathers that don't have custody. You can be active even if you're not present. I think even asking about the kid every day, there's nothing wrong about that. I think if you say that out loud and you were to get mad at that, you would look like a bad person. Oh, he asks about the kids every day, because every day something's going on with your kid. Every day you're missing something with your kid when you're not there. Their first step, their first everything. And to them, it's so amazing. And if you're not there, that hurts, obviously, both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Just asking every day, being annoying about it. I wish the other side did that. I was begging my other side to do that, especially a mom. Why haven't you hit me up in 2 years? It doesn't do anything for you? Well, I'm sorry. Well, what about the kids?
Mm-hmm.
That tells me everything. So being annoyingly active.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
And the third one was...
the third one is actually a very important one also. How important is it for you to be very neutral when it comes to presenting an environment with your kids so that they don't see... I mean, they catch on to everything, so you don't really have to say much.
Yep.
So what you want to do is create that positive environment without having to badmouth anybody.
Of course, 100%. As the leader of the family, when you're put in that situation, you need to take control of that power. So what that means is involving everybody that's around your kid, the mothers, the aunts, the tias, you name it, whoever's around them, they all have to be on your game plan. Because it's very easy to have them talk about it when you're not around, or them delegating, or them moving things around, or you talking with it. They're absorbing, right? So setting boundaries, setting rules and guidelines. And that's the thing. Nobody likes doing that. Nobody likes making rules because they're like, oh, if they don't listen, they're already hurt that they haven't even listened to the rule yet. They don't even know the rule. That's how you're not loving yourself.
Yeah.
You have to set those boundaries outwards. Yeah. I think that's important. I think that's very important.
You're right about
because you're the defender of the kid. You're responsible.
You're the captain.
Yeah. So you got to take control of that, and you got to delegate it, and that creates a better environment because now you can go be you without hovering. Because I got it. It takes a village, and I have an awesome village. But we have to communicate, dialogue.
That's what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go ahead and end it right there because that was such a nice thing to end with.
Yes.
It takes a village. We all know it takes a village. So we want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of the Love, Health, Prosperity podcast. I want to thank our guest, Willie. He did a fantastic job. He gave us a bunch of information that is truly, truly good for us to listen to. Very admirable. We thank you guys. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.